It's time for us to continue the Flash storyline. Today, we're going to continue the storyline in which the Flash has the negative Speed Force powers. If you want to know more about that, I'll just link you the whole playlist. But basically, Eobard Thawne brought Flash throughout time, showing him that Barry Allen was the true enemy of himself. He then imbued him with negative Speed Force powers. Now let's see how he's going to handle them even further with Wally West. In our last video, Barry Allen had been struggling to try and keep the negative Speed Force in check, and it was slowly beginning to affect his everyday life. After working to stop blood work, Director Singh transfers both Barry and Kristen to Iron Heights Penitentiary to carry out their work on account of Barry's recent attitude. But in the end, Kid Flash appeared and told him that he would work with Barry to help contain the negative Speed Force so that he could return to being a proper hero. With Wally's help, Barry learned something about the negative Speed Force that no one seemed to know before. And that was that if two speedsters were close, they could lock their speed forces together and keep it from getting out of hand. Early one morning during training, Barry and Wally responded to a robbery at the local jeweler, where Black Spider and his thugs were in the middle of a firefight with the police. Another thing that Barry had learned after his run-in with Bloodwork was that the negative Speed Force could also be controlled by his emotions. So, with keeping calm and cool, he in ways can use the negative Speed Force to his advantage, even if it's still a little chaotic. After the Flash releases a negative blast at the Black Spider, Wally runs past, catching the momentum from the diamonds that were thrown and the bullets that were fired, and launching himself at the gunman. The store owner runs out shouting that his diamonds are all over the streets. There's no way that he could. But before he could even finish, Wally flies by, grabbing all of the diamonds, stating that there were exactly 110 diamonds. Once the two went their separate ways, it was time for Barry to start his first day at work in his newly relocated lab in the Iron Heights Penitentiary. Iron Heights was originally a military hospital in the mid-20th century, but one night there was a terrible fire that ended up trapping hundreds of patients and staff members, and none survived. Since then, the building was converted into one of the most secure prisons in the world, rivaling even that of Belle Reve. As the boat pulls up to the island, Kristen looks up and says the place is hell, and Barry smiles, telling her that it would be worse if they were locked in a cell, wouldn't it? Kristen grabs her bag and walks off the boat, telling Barry that she still has to work with him, and stop smiling, it's annoying. He was the reason that they both got transferred here, and he doesn't get to make jokes about it. Barry tells her, come on, at least we weren't late. And once the two get inside, Warden Wolf tells him that if he wasn't early, then he may as well be late. That is his first strike. 2 more strikes will lead to an automatic termination from the CCPD. Director Singh may have been lenient on the subject, but Iron Heights will not. Being late costs lives. As Wolf leads the two of them to their office, he explains that after Eobard Thawne's escape, they've increased security 1,000-fold. No one is able to breach their walls or enter without his knowing. Kristen asks, what about someone like the Flash? And Wolf says that it would still be impossible, even for him. In fact, one day I hope to hold the Flash in here. After all of the damage that he's done to Central City, the Flash has earned a spot in this cell. The doors to the office open, and just as Kristen begins to speak, Wolf says, yes, this is a cell. An older model that has been refurbished for your lab. But don't read too much into it. This is also for your safety in the event that the prisoners misbehave. Soon a guard steps in, telling Wolf that they have a commotion out in the yard, and Wolf tells the two to allow him to show them how they can manage misbehavior around here. Everyone walks outside to see 2 inmates getting ready to fight, one of them being August Hart, Godspeed himself. As August and the other inmate grab onto each other, Kristen asks, isn't he going to stop them? Wolf tells her, no. They aren't hurting anyone but themselves. There is no reason for us to get involved. While the two fight below, August looks up and sees Barry Allen, and the other inmate takes the opportunity gut-punching August. Wolf then tells them, that's enough now. It's time for Pipeline to report to the yard. Fun's over. The doors open below and a group of armed guards walk out, hitting everyone with sonic blasts until they fall to their knees. Wolf says that he named them Pipeline after the wing of the prison that was destroyed during the riot of 2011. Pipeline was particularly hard and brutal, so it was a fitting name. As the guards surround August and the inmate, August punches the inmate one last time and the guards hit him with the sonic disruptors. Wolf laughs, stating that Pipeline's sonic disruptors brings down these animals without even leaving a mark, perfect for keeping them all in line. While the inmates are led back to their cells, Kristen asks why is he keeping them all in their costumes, and Wolf tells her that he has allowed them to continue wearing their costumes as a constant reminder of who they really are. Not only can they never escape Iron Heights, but they cannot escape their past. In Iron Heights, there is no group therapy, no job training, no diaper changing. Kristen asks, isn't that all a bit harsh? What if some want forgiveness or redemption? And Wolf quotes Shakespeare by stating, hell is empty and all of the devils are here. Kristen then turns to Barry for support, but Barry says that Wolf's right. Iron Heights is their justice system at work. They're not talking about minor felonies. This place is the worst of the worst. Most of these people were in and out of Arkham. They don't deserve a second chance. Kristen begins to question Barry, but Wolf says that he may have been wrong about him. Maybe Iron Heights is where you belong after all, Barry Allen. Once the work day is done, Barry runs after Kristen, telling her that he knows that he got him into this mess, but they can. And Kristen stops him, telling him that the day's over. Good night. He sighs and starts to call Wally so that they can talk, but then something runs by grabbing him. And Barry shouts, "What the hell, Wally?" But a female voice tells him, "Wrong speedster. Miss me, Barry?" As Barry looks up, he sees Meena, the woman that he was about to date and he thought was killed by Godspeed in the first story arc. The link to that is down below. A few months ago, Meena was a scientist working in Star Lab studying the Speed Force when she met the same fate as Barry Allen. She became a speedster and even worked alongside him. But she died when Godspeed had killed her along with 2 other speedsters attempting to steal their Speed Force. The problem with dying is that that person is gone forever, except right now, she's standing before Barry Allen. She says that she knows that this is a lot to take in, but she promises that this will all make sense. And Barry stops her, asking, "Makes sense? It's not like you just went away and you weren't returning my calls. You died. Godspeed killed you and 2 other speedsters." Meena turns, telling him, "I think about them all the time. They were so scared and in so much pain just knowing that I'm alive and that Barry tries to comfort her, telling her that what happened to them is not their fault. And just then, Wally comes running by shouting to Barry that he got his message but before he could finish, he sees Meena and he immediately jumps and hugs her, shouting, "You're alive! How?" Barry then asks, "It was you, wasn't it? When I was training Wally, I thought you were alive somewhere, but I could never catch up. How are you here now?" Meena explains that the Speed Force absorbed her. She doesn't understand it completely, but she learned so much. She was trapped, but she never stopped fighting against its pull, and she came back to save him. Barry asks, "What is that supposed to mean?" And Meena tells him, "It's the negative Speed Force. It's killing you, Barry." Barry says that Eobard had the negative Speed Force for years and it wasn't killing him. And Meena stops him, stating that Eobard didn't have the negative Speed Force and the normal Speed Force at the same time. They're clashing against each other and they are tearing you apart. Barry then asks, "So you know this because the Speed Force told you?" Meena says that she wasn't lying. She was inside of the Speed Force. She saw things. But please, she can explain everything. Just come with her. The next morning at the Central City Demolition Derby, Wally asks why exactly are they here. Nothing was really explained. And Meena says that she picked this place because he can really let loose here, go as fast as he wants and crash into anything. The only difference is that he'll be wearing a monitor so that the data on the negative Speed Force can be collected and examined. Barry, in his Flash costume, gets ready to run, and Wally says, "Wait! If the Flash runs, I'm gonna run with him to make sure that we get what we need." Meena tells him that that's fine, and just as she gets ready to say ready, set, go, the two have already ran a lap around her. Wally asks Barry how he's feeling, but Barry doesn't answer. The negative Speed Force begins to come out, and Barry quickly begins to lose control of it, running through the cars and destroying everything that he touches. Wally tries to catch up, shouting that he needs to stop, but Barry says that he can't! Meena needs a test of what the negative Speed Force can do. And then, before he can finish, Wally tackles him to the ground, stating that he doesn't care what she wants. He cares about him. And what is he going to do about it? Fight me? Suddenly, Barry stops and he fights back the negative Speed Force, shouting, "No! I would never hurt you, Wally." Soon, the Speed Force begins to fade, and Meena yells that was perfect. He might not feel good about it, but with that data, she can get a better understanding and have him cured. Wally then asks Meena what's the deal. She suddenly shows up out of nowhere, and she doesn't really say where she's been, and all she can do is talk about the negative Speed Force. Barry stops him, telling him to give Meena a chance, and tells Meena that it's okay. Wally and him are just having some trust issues lately. As the sun begins to set, Barry and Meena watch, and Barry says that he's so sorry. Everything that happened to her, it was his fault. There's nothing that he can do to make it right. Meena tells him that he needs to stop being so hard on himself. What happened with the negative Speed Force and Godspeed, it wasn't his fault. Meena sighs, stating that she used to center her entire life around things that she could control. It made her feel safe. But then she was struck by the Speed Force lightning and she allowed some chaos into her life. Had to learn to let things go. Maybe he should do the same. Barry tells her that he knows, or at least part of him knows, but the other part is afraid that if he eases up, somebody he cares about will get hurt. The last time that he took a day off was when they watched the sun rise together, and now the sun is setting. Meena turns back to Barry, stating that he is so gullible. Before Barry can understand what she meant, black hole soldiers run out, shooting both Barry and Wally with negative energy. She begins laughing, stating, "You are so predictable. You always let that big heart get the best of you, don't you?" The soldiers begin to wrap Barry up, and he says, "How could you be working with Black Hole?" Wally shouts, "I knew it! This isn't the Meena that we knew, Barry!" Meena pulls back her mask, telling them, "You wanted answers? So let me show you." She begins to run circles around Barry, channeling the negative Speed Force, and Barry yells, "Don't do this! You don't want this!" But Meena doesn't answer, and after a flash of light, everything stops. Wally breaks free, running over, asking, "What happened? Your power's gone?" Barry struggles, telling him that he's fine, but Meena, The negative Speed Force begins to surge and crackle around Meena, and she tells him that she wasn't lying when she said that she was coming back to save him. Now the negative Speed Force is hers! Meena then asks, do you really want to know why? It's because the negative Speed Force is unexplored. You've only scratched the surface of what Eobard created. Helping Black Hole steal the negative Speed Force is just the start. Using the powers of the negative Speed Force, Meena shocks Barry, knocking him to the ground. Wally runs over to check on Barry, but Meena taunts him, so he charges at her. Before he could do anything, Meena grabs him by the throat, slamming him down, shouting, all the Flash ever talked about was how he could save everyone. How come he couldn't save me? Barry gets up to chase after her, asking, what are you gonna do now? Kill us? And she shouts, you let me die. I was trapped and you never came for me. It was Black Hole who saved me. Barry tells her to wait. He was trapped in there before too. You can't come back without a lightning rod. Someone to keep you grounded. I could have been that lightning rod for you. Before he could catch up, the negative Speed Force shoots back, tripping him. And Meena tells him, you're lucky the Black Hole told me to keep you alive. Right now, you have a choice. Follow me or save Kid Flash. The Black Hole soldiers begin loading their guns again, and just as they fire, Barry runs back to share the brunt of the attack. Barry struggles, stating that he knows that it hurts, but we can get out of this. Just connect your Speed Force lightning to mine. Using their combined powers, the Flash and the Kid Flash release enough feedback to short out the energy guns and break free. Before the soldiers have a chance to react, Barry and Wally start taking the soldiers out, and they finish as they punch into the last man standing. A little while later, back at the Black Hole labs, the scientists scan Meena's body, stating that the negative Speed Force has been stabilized. But the problem still stands. The powers are ripping her apart. She shouts that she doesn't care. They have a job to do and nothing will get in their way. They will learn everything about the Speed Force but before she can finish, there's a loud crack-a-boom! And all of the scientists are instantly vaporized. With the lightning, a voice calls out to Meena, asking if she's forgotten her place in their plans. The first storm that they unleashed as Black Hole was merely a test. Next time, with her help, they will have control of it. Once that happens, Rajan, the god of lightning, will rain down on this world. Back with Barry and Wally, the two take their time walking home, trying to make sense of everything that just happened. Barry says they need to find out if Black Hole is controlling Meena, and if they are, they need to help her. As Wally walks up to the porch, he says that at least Meena freed him from the negative Speed Force, and Barry quietly says, yeah. But before leaving, he asks, do you think? But Wally stops him, stating that Iris needs more time. I'm pretty sure that you do too, Barry. Despite everything, though, I'm glad that we had today together. Barry turns back, telling him, yeah, you're right, and he heads home. As Wally gets back inside, Iris calls out that she's a little offended that he thought he could sneak past her. Wally says that he didn't know that she was up. Is it because of the nightmares? And an image of Eobard flashes before her as she tells him no. Wally tells her that it's okay, he has them too. Whenever he runs, he can feel the pain in his knee from when the Reverse Flash attacked them. How about he makes them some tea and they get some sleep? But back with Barry, he runs thinking that Meena did at least make him realize something. He can't do this alone. He is much better with another by his side. Before Barry could finish that thought, though, his phone rings, and on the line, Warren Wolf tells him that he needs to get to Iron Heights. Something's happened. There's been a murder. And standing behind Wolf are two Black Hole soldiers. And there you have it, the biggest cliffhanger of The Flash so far. Meena is back, and she's evil. Some of the publications are actually calling her the new female Reverse Flash. I don't know, maybe she's just Negative Flash? Maybe she's just Meena. What do you think her name should be down below? Should it be Reverse Flash? Should it be Negative Flash? Should she just be like Black Hole Woman Girl? I don't know. What do you want to call Meena? Let me know in the names down below. And don't forget, you can check out the rest of the Flash storyline right over here, and something recommended by YouTube right over here.